Jujutsu Kaisen has tremendously improved the shonen formula, and if I ask you what's so good about it, you'd probably start with Gojo. But given the infinity between him and everything else, we should exclude this fabulous exception and talk about 5 normal things JJK does better than other shonen. Hello comrade, my name is Mahis. Come, get yourself a beverage and sit down with me. We got near perfection to admire. This video was sponsored by absolutely no one, but you can support the channel through Patreon, where you can find full episode reactions and rants to our favorite shows for a price of just one hot beverage. Or you can join our Discord to catch these streams live for absolutely free. Links are down in the description. The very first thing that caught my eyes in this show, or graced my ears if you want to be specific, is how smart everyone is. Well, not exactly smart and not really everyone, but they are not stupid in a broad sense of this word. Take Todo. His IQ is only halfway to triple digits, yet he's still capable of advanced thought within his area of expertise. He can even be pretty wise from time to time, like during the meeting after the villains crashed the party, he sounded almost philosophical and it wasn't out of character at all. He's a simple man, just with a lot of experience on account of surviving many life or death situations. Then there is Gojo, who understands how the world works and that he can't fix everything himself, Panda, whose deductive reasoning seems to rival that of Light, Lulu and other elves, and last but not least, the villains, who have actually studied tactics and made strategically sound decisions. Seriously, if Geta was part of the Jedi Council, he'd be called a master baiter for how he drew attention away from Mahito with one simple deception. Man, I wish I saw more antagonists use their brain over brawn. Another type of intelligence that is often overlooked in many shonens is emotional intelligence. I highly commend this little interaction between Yuji and Fushiguro, where the latter knew that something had happened and just kept asking / looking at the MC expectantly until he got a proper answer. Or the dialogue between Kugisaki and Itadori, where she took charge of the conversation and helped her friend to feel better by explaining her position and sharing responsibility for what they have done. Speaking of different positions, the second topic of this discussion is related to something Megumi said earlier in the show. Everyone has unique circumstances. Ah shit, here we go again. A bunch of quirky snowflakes with their own little gimmicks and life situations. That's fine. We like creative backgrounds and interesting personality traits. However, it's very rare that a character is good enough on their own to stay relevant during the story. Remember the original 4 Genin teams? Who comes to mind first outside the MC? Sasuke, Neji, Lee, maybe Shikamaru? That's because those guys had the most connections with the other members of the lineup, making them far more interesting than Tenten, for example, who had nothing to do with the main cast up until Shippuden. Hell, even Shino has something going on, with him being pissed off that he missed out on a death fake out opportunity. Yes, these characters did get a degree of development later on, some close to 0, some a decent amount, but I'm talking about the setup here, and this is where Juju does something ingenious. They immediately connect everyone to the protagonist by forcing the entire cast to either kill or defend our boy. This way, you as a viewer can get an instant insight into these people. Todo gives no fucks, Miwa doesn't want to kill Yuji while Noritoshi is all about it, and that's on top of all the other connections. Look at this chart. It's not the most precise one, but change Naruto to My Hero Aka, One Piece, Fairy Tail, etc. and you'll notice that most of them are slowly building up connections over time instead of dumping them now and developing later. Actually, Bleach and Demon Slayer did something similar, but not as fast and in a less satisfying way. Next, I'd like to develop the previous topic further, the same way JJK does with its cast. A quick disclaimer, just like in any narrative, there is a bell curve. Some characters are more interesting than the others, and it's totally normal. So let's focus on the process instead of their starting or ending points. The quality of progression is outstanding here, not to be confused with quantity, as at this point most side characters from the big 3 experienced way more than the main dude here. Anyway, he went from not knowing what the hell he was doing, to helping people get a proper death, to wondering what does that even mean, to coming to terms that he will end up killing someone too in a span of 24 episodes. Most protagonists don't even question their motivation, let alone changing them. Sure, there are Eren Yeagers out there who changed so much that they are now unrecognizable due to all the shit that they went through. But Yuji becomes a better, more mature version of himself. He is still the same person at his core, just with more life lessons under his belt. Same goes for Nobara. She started as quite an obnoxious, pretentious and bratty person, but since she had gotten into a company of good people and spent her days working on herself instead of sitting in TikTok, she became a respectable young woman who, minus the little crazy part, should be an example for all those strong and independent ones. She even said, "I love myself when I'm pretty and all dressed up, and I love myself when I'm kicking ass." If that's not a strong female lead, I don't know what is. Then there is Fushiguro with his skeletons in his closet, Kamo getting to know Itadori more and changing his outlook, Panda trying to get Kokichi out of his misery, not to mention the entire antagonist side. Mahito discovering the world like a child he is, Geto letting Jogo get clapped for educational purposes, and Hanami learning the joys of battle. There are plenty of little pieces of development and they are very densely packed. The fourth concept that I want to tackle is something we see so often that we completely overlook how repetitive it has become. The hidden power trope. Every other shonen has it, and almost all of them follow the same formula. When the protagonist can't save the day, Kurama, Zangetsu, Libe, insert any other entity here, do so instead. It's gone so bad that even childhood memories are now a source of great power, eliminating not only the middleman, but the downsides as well. Characters just spam these in every fight, forgetting that it's supposed to be some unknown, forbidden, or otherwise harmful shit. Deus Ex Machina is what it is, because you know if the MC gets into a big enough pickle, they will either get unconscious or ask for rent money and everything will be alright. In Jujutsu Kaisen, we tried that once, and the outcome was the main character's death, Megumi's almost death, followed by a strange contract with said power that Itadori doesn't even remember. Now these are some stakes. Let Sukuna go for a walk to deal with whatever obstacle you're facing, and in return, you put literally everyone in mortal danger with the exception of one sexy boy. On top of that, there is no guarantee that the menace inside will even agree to do something, as we've seen how the King of Curses relishes every opportunity to make Yuji's life more miserable and has no intention of helping him if there is no merit for his own self. This is a much more interesting way to write a demon inside. Firstly, the person who has the power can't rely on it to get themselves out of a tricky situation, which results in a significantly more satisfying victory in any given fight. An important thing to note here, the character itself might not realize that they can rely on it, but we do, and it just doesn't feel earned when some newbie schmuck demon does more damage than the entire squad combined. Secondly, it gives people a legit reason to fear the holder of that power. Look at Naruto. Of course Jinchuriki are sketchy and villagers are understandably wary of them. Yet it makes no sense for people to alienate them, since it's the exact behavior that will make them say fuck it and put on a trench coat. In JJK, this is a completely new thing. Sorcerers didn't have generations of Sukuna's holders to observe and didn't want to risk it until they saw that Itadori can handle it and possibly rid them of a great evil. The third reason is the monster itself. Usually it either chills or goes with the flow, but here it has its own tangible goals plus an occasional sabotage of the MC, making it a decent standalone character. Alright, those of you who have been watching me for a while must know what's coming. My favorite part of any story and something I made many videos about. Villains. I love the bad guys here, and I can't recall the last time I saw them being portrayed the way they are here. Cause what do you expect when you hear about an evil organization in anime, movies, books and such? A group of shady people united by some arch-villain who scheme in the shadows and try to destroy or take over the world in one way or another. I swear, every aspect of their existence is shown to have some sinister undertones, unless we're getting a mandatory tear-jerking flashback. It's always doom and gloom. Akatsuki, Espada, Homunculi, you know that these are the bad guys because everything they do is so fucking edgy. Not in Jujutsu Kaisen. They go to cafes together, hold meetings in brightly lit areas, and even play Monopoly in this bitch. Yeah, we are evildoers, but in the name of villainy, you can't just work 24/7. Got to relax with the boys too. This type of slice-of-life delivery helps me relate to the antagonists simply because they show some normal, everyday human behavior. Like Clayman, for instance. He's a despicable piece of crap and nobody's arguing he isn't, yet seeing him bake sweets for his people somehow makes me hate him just a little less. It is a better way to write a narrative, because you are delivering the plot while building up the characters, and you do so in an unconventional way, making the baddies look like the heroes of their own story. They too have their goals, motivations and desires. Granted, violent, disturbing ones, but you can't deny the fact that they go about them like any good characters would. Saving each other, for example, or encouraging your peers so they can grow as a person. You can say, well, All For One does that, and I say no, since he doesn't do so out of the kindness of his heart, clearly having an ulterior motive. Mahito is the opposite. He wants Hanami to be better so that they can reach their goals together, and this is where the strangest thing comes into play. Self-sacrifice for the greater good. They want to start the Age of Curses by liberating Sukuna and taking down Jujutsu sorcerers. But if this requires all of them to die, so be it. This is almost exclusively a heroic act, as you're giving up everything you have so that others may continue. My Hiroaka did that a few times, and I respect the author for that because it makes us think, under different circumstances, this person might have been a hero. It's not necessarily the case in JJK, given how these guys are created a certain way, yet it doesn't take away from the fact that they do indeed possess a degree of selflessness, which in combination with their overall camaraderie and clever actions, makes them one of the best villain organizations I've seen ever. It was I, Mahis, enjoying a new show into the microphone. Have a great, whatever time of the day you have. Until next time, cheers.